And we are back. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Channel 135 podcast. This is the show we talk about our favorite things in life, movies, TV shows, and pop culture. I'm your host, Cams, and I'm here with the Uso, Bobby from the 135 Footy Show. What's up, Uso?
But also, how's it going? Good to be back for another review of this amazing TV show, Chief of War. So, yeah, let's get into it, bro.
Yeah, man, it's good to have you on, bro. Man, it is an amazing show, man. I'm enjoying every minute of it. And we are here to talk about episode 5 of the Chief of War TV series that dropped on Apple TV Plus last Friday. But before we get into that, I just want to make sure everybody knows to where to find us on social media. This is the Channel 135. You can find us on our YouTube channel, WesWes Movies and TV, also WesWes Movies and TV TikTok, and Instagram as well. We're all part of the WesWes Network. We've got a website. You can go in there, read articles, and find our other podcasts on the WesWes Network. It's at weswesnet.com. All right, yeah, man, before we get into Chief of War, man, I just had a thing, because we had a podcast, I think 2 podcasts ago, talking about the 2025 race between the top franchises, the movie franchises and studios in Hollywood. I just want to get your thoughts on that, man. Like, out of the top 4 in your head, like, who's sort of winning the race, or where they at in terms of popularity, or your own opinion, where your top 4 movie franchises are right now?
Well, I don't know about everyone else, but top 4 for me, I'll start from the top. Number 1 for me is Star Wars. That's my very top. Star Wars and everything Star Wars. Even though that the prequel trilogy I thought was a bit weak after Star Wars, Empire, and Return of the Jedi. Like, you know, in retrospect, when you go back and you watch everything in order, like the story of Star Wars is amazing. So, you know, it's one of those franchises that has made billions of dollars, and it spawned so many sequels, like not just in movies, but it spawned like cartoon, TV series. You've got all of like the series that are now on Disney, Mandalorian, Andor, all of that sort of stuff. For me, Star Wars is number 1, right at the top. 2, 3, and 4, it's, well, I'd put anything in 2, 3, and 4, really, because I love to watch movies. But 2 would probably be, if I'm being honest, it's probably all of the Marvel stuff, all of the superhero stuff that we've had in the last, well, since Iron Man, really. But even before that, like, there was all that other stuff that sort of really tested the waters with the superhero genre, like the first X-Men film, the first Incredible Hulk film, Eric Bana that was in. That was a bit unrealistic Hulk, because you had Hulk the size of like 3-story building. You know, and I was like, so those are some stretchy ass pants, bro. So, you know, anything that's superhero related, I think, is up there. Is number 2. Number 3 for me, this is probably a bit out of left field, but I really enjoyed Rambo, bro. Like, First Blood Part 2, Rambo 3, and 4 was, you know, 4 was when Stallone was like, now the technology has caught up to me being able to show some blood and guts and not just eat ass fungi guy and they just fall over, but there's like no blood splatter or nothing. Now he is Makwa. Yeah, he can blow people up in half with the types of guns that he's got, and the special effects to make that stuff look super realistic, I thought was really, really cool. Like, he's made 5 movies, Rambo.
Yeah, it's interesting because now there's reports out of Hollywood that another movie's been made, a prequel, when Rambo was younger in Vietnam.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they're going back to those Green Beret days.
And you know what? They've probably got a whole heap of story to tell, because I thought Stallone in that first Rambo, First Blood, he was awesome, man. And it doesn't seem like he's the type to be like an actor, but he actually did really well in that first one. And people forget that he's won an Academy Award for like screenwriting and for Rocky. So he had some real acting chops in the early days before he just sort of fell back into that easy money, just making action movies and just being like an action actor guy. Because he didn't really need to flesh out roles or anything. Because man, through the 80s, that action genre, people were loving that stuff and they were just lapping it up. So he didn't need to step out of a comfort zone. He's like, oh, silly. I'm making lots of kupe just being an action guy. I don't need to be dramatic acting. It's never over. I don't need to.
If you remember that time in the 80s, like he really didn't need to go up against Arnold, or hey, like he was a better actor than Arnold.
Absolutely.
He's got range, right?
Yeah, and you saw that in the First Blood. You saw that in Rambo. Yeah, like Stallone didn't need to, but for me, number 3 franchise is Rambo. 4 is probably it's still sticking with the sci-fi theme, and this is probably a dead heat because we were talking about this just coming before we came on to record. We're talking about Predator, but I like Aliens and then the Predator universe when they sort of mix them all up. Loved Aliens, loved Predator, loved the fact that they're starting to bring those two universes together, and hopefully they can make a way better movie than Aliens versus Predator. But those two franchises for me would be equal in terms of my top 4. Like I'd have them there. Like I loved Alien, the first movie. That was super scary. I remember watching Alien as a kid, and you kind of only really got to see a glimpse of the alien right at the end. But then the scary looking thing that came out of that guy's mangafa that made me think, hell no, I'm not eating spaghetti ever again. Like he was eating spaghetti just before that thing ripped out of his stomach. And so, and then, there's not many sequels that are better than the first movie. But Aliens, after that first Alien movie, so the Aliens, Sigourney Weaver cemented her spot in cinema history as being a kick-ass, badass action woman, and Ripley in Aliens, that character, she was so cool, man. And those weapons were so cool, and her fight with the Queen at the end was it was one of the best movie sequels for me. Like there's not many other sequels that are up there as being better than the original, but that for me is one of them. So Star Wars first, all of the superhero movies second, Marvel third, Rambo, and then fourth equal is Predator and Aliens, right up there. Predator because of Arnold, and then people bag that sequel Predator 2, but I really enjoyed Danny Glover's character in that. It was kind of like they just transferred him from Lethal Weapon into Predator 2. And then they brought back like guys that you'd seen in other franchises, like what's his name?
Bill Paxton.
And you've seen Bill Paxton in everything. Like he was there in Terminator, he was there in Aliens, and now he's part of Predator universe as well, right? So I think it's him and Lance Henriksen that have got that sort of prestigious honor of being in all of those franchises as well. So yeah, those are my top 4, bro.
Yeah, it reminded me of Lance Henriksen. He's a good mate of James Cameron, and when they were trying to sell the idea of the Terminator film, the first one, their pitch was he dressed up Hendrickson as the Terminator, have him barge into the executive's office as Terminator, and then just show him this is the movie we want to make.
What?
try to scare them into making the film. But I mean, those are good picks, man. The Rambo one's interesting because I wouldn't have thought to pick the Rambo franchise, but yeah, there's a franchise that's up there in pop culture, and it's good that they're making a prequel. Like I saw the actor they're gonna
really
play as John Rambo.
Oh man,
I forgot his name. I posted
it on right
on the chat. Yeah, he looks like a young what's Ice Cube's his son? That's an actor. He looks like him, kind of.
Oh really?
Yeah, but white. But I guess when you got the the hair, when he's got the hair, they can make him look like a John Rambo, Yeah, man, yeah.
Oh, O'Shea, that's his name.
O'Shea, yeah. But now the reason why I brought this up because we did the podcast about this very topic, who's winning the race. As far as what I thought 2025 is like, who's winning the race. So I put Marvel Studios still at number one, although they are lagging now. There used to be a big gap between Marvel and whoever was coming second, but now I think with James Gunn moving over to DC and becoming the boss of the entire DC universe now and doing a reboot and the release of Superman, it's just the hype of the next stuff coming up for DC has created a new buzz. And I think because of that, DC is coming second now. But
really?
I still think Marvel's still ahead. But the gap is closing. Third place, I picked Star Wars, and only because of Andor. I think when Andor came out earlier this year, it sort of brought back some faith in what they could do with Star Wars, because that too is a franchise that's sort of lagging behind. I mean, you talked about Boba Fett being like a sort of like a failaway in terms of storytelling and just the style. Like they had Robert Rodriguez come in and helm that series, and like you know him from there's Machete movies and that, like so. And I think coming up now is the Aliens and Predator. Both of those franchises sort of like gonna tie in together, just like the Predator franchise with that cartoon that came out, the Killer of Killers. That was really good,
Yeah, that was good as. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, and then the Prey that came earlier than that, and then the new one that's gonna come out in November, Predator Badlands. It's got a Samoan actor, Samoan and Tongan actor. He's playing
Was he one of the Predators?
The Predator, yeah. Yeah, so that'll be interesting. But yeah, man, the Rambo one is interesting, and we're gonna do I don't know if you're gonna jump on, but we're gonna do the First Blood movie review on the Late Returns film review. So we didn't actually do it last week, so we booked it for tomorrow night.
Oh, okay. Oh, so we did it last week. Oh,
yeah,
we'll see.
So someone couldn't make it, so we had to postpone it. So now we're gonna do First Blood movie review tomorrow, hopefully, and get that done. So I watched that for First Blood. Have you? When was the last time you saw First Blood?
I've not watched First Blood in probably over 5 years, to be honest.
Right.
It's been a while, yeah.
Yeah, it still holds up, man. A little bit, I think.
I doubt it does. I think it does.
Yeah.
Like the themes around it at the time are still pretty valid today, right? Like soldiers that come from overseas are still kind of treated that way, mistreated in a way, because people don't agree with the wars that they went to fight, doesn't mean that it's the veterans' fault. But they've got this real love, and then a little bit of love. It's not a hate, but it's like a little bit of love, lots of love relationship with their vets that come over. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, man. Speaking of war, the Chief of War. We're going to get into the Chief of War review, episode 5. Before we do that, I'm going to do a spoiler alert. So if you haven't watched episode 5 of Chief of War, I suggest you pause this podcast, go back and watch the episode, and come back and listen to us break it down. So right now I'm going to do the channel 1 through 5 episode recap.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Episode 5, The Race of the Gods, directed by Brian Andrew Mendoza, written by Thomas Sabet and Jason Momoa and Doug Young. Kayana returns from his Pacific voyage carrying guns and ammunition, a crucial asset, but must first navigate deep distrust from Kamehameha's council, especially Moku, due to his past alliances with King Kahekili. Kayana reunites with his wife and his brother Namake, who has grown close in his absence. While his wife embraces his return, Namake reacts with emotional pain and rejection. Meanwhile, Kiowa resents being sidelined. His late father named Kamehameha the Chief of War, while he has given authority over administration, not warfare. In a bid to join Kamehameha's council and gain trust, Kayana is challenged to a traditional and deadly Hehi Holua sled race down volcanic terrain. His win symbolically aligning with Kamehameha and securing his place among the chief's inner circle. Meanwhile, Kiowa strikes, ordering his men to burned the food storage units in Kohala, a bold act of aggression aimed at destabilizing Kamehameha's domain and asserting his defiance. And that was your Channel 135 recap. How'd you like this episode, bro?
Yeah, I enjoyed it, bro. I think it's probably the best one so far because, so in the first, was it the second episode we reviewed where we talked with Stace and Stace talked about pacing? This one slowed right down. Like, okay, I'll get my gripes out of the way first because last week in the episode 4, I talked about how it seemed a bit unbelievable that they have to wait for Kayana to get there when it takes months and months to sail from the Philippines, where he is essentially, to get to Hawaii. And these guys in Hawaii, like, they've been building up that tension between Keoa and Kamehameha. They've been building up that tension between Kahekili, who's still wanting to unify the islands by destroying everyone else. And so that I remember last week I said was a little bit unbelievable because it was like, so they're not going to hang around for months and months before doing anything. And I said, and I wish they could just get the conflict done between Kamehameha and Keoa, his cousin, before Jason Momoa gets there, because then it'd be more realistic. Like, it took him like a whole year, 2 years to go there and back. But and then the episode starts with the ship, there's a ship. It's like a scene out of Fantasy Island where Tattoo's looking at the plane. the plane. The ship's coming into the harbor. And I was like, is this Jason Momoa's ship? Or maybe it's one of those other guys that Falamali gave the map to. And no, it's Jason Momoa's ship. It's like, okay then. So aside from that unrealistic part where the timing of it doesn't fit, I thought the episode was really, really good. Like, Jason Momoa, I remember reading articles and watching videos of him talking about how he saw Kaina Makua just on a beach or something, and he was like, so that's my Kamehameha. That's the guy that I'm going to get. Like, no previous acting experience or anything like that. But this guy, Kaina Makua, he's really good at embodying all of the qualities that Kamehameha was. So, we talked in the previous episode about all of that stuff, the strength, the prowess, the wisdom, anointed by the heavens. And then we see him in this episode where Jason Momoa and him, they've had both of their episodes, 2 each, of mana building. And now we've got this fifth episode where it's like, okay, now they're going to be face to face for the first time. Is the mana and is that thing going to be equal between them two, right? Because the series is called Chief of War, which is Jason Momoa, but Kamehameha is the king. Man, they did a really good job of Kaina Makua being like on a real even par in terms of the mana, that whole presence on the screen, man, that race that they did on the sleds, like that stuff was amazing. Like they're bringing in more of this like Hawaiian cultural influences, like that sled race. And it's like, suddenly, did they really do lava sledding? That's crazy, man. Because those guys that fell off in the episode, they are gonna be broken bones for months and months and injuries galore, like going down at those speeds. And lava rock is like, if you haven't seen lava rock in real life, it's so like that stuff will shred your skin apart, man. It
Sharp,
is, yeah, bro.
Sharp edges.
It is
Jagged edges.
It is jagged, and those guys falling at those speeds, I was thinking, man, they're gonna be scarred up for life. But yeah, just the whole episode. The episode as a whole, I thought was great. Like, it explained lots. It sort of positioned where different people were, and you're kind of wondering, is Kamehameha gonna accept Kayana now that he's back? We talked last week about what's the dynamic between Namake and his brother gonna be now that so I kind of took your wife we were grieving, we thought you weren't gonna come back. That still hasn't sort of been addressed. They sort of touched on it a little bit, but it kind of still don't really know. He's like, Silly, "Oops, you've been a bit essay, man. You haven't said much." And he's like, "Nah, we're just thanking the gods that you came back to us." I was like, suddenly, that guy's makwa heartbroken, man. He's like, "I just come back for, bruh." So there's still that dynamic to sort of tease out a bit. Like they touched on it a little bit. It was still kind of respectful, and he kind of just sort of faded back because his brother come back, and then his missus, old what's her face, Kupohi, yeah, she's all like, "Oh, Kayana," like instantly. But then I like the brother, Nahi, how he's like, "Hey man, just leave Namake alone. He'll find his balance. Stop keeping that flame alive. You're just gonna make the man go crazy." Just
I thought that was great advice when I heard that. When he
hard
was
out.
telling her, hey,
I was thinking,
you didn't come here to, you changed your, you
Fifinges,
came
bro.
in, you changed
Fifinge. So like that is the ngaluenga of the Fifinge to be a wrecker, to layer the minds of the husbands and the men in their lives. Just kidding. Just kidding. I love my wife. But that scene was pretty cool because that was the brother that, had guy on his back and still believed that he was alive. So, it was good way to sort of, now they've merged the two storylines together. Kahena's not off anywhere. Now he's back, and now he's gonna provide counsel to Kamehameha, and they're gonna try and sort out the situation on Hawaii first because Kahekili is still their main priority. But he's got Kahana advice. He's like, man, we can't take him on if the island's divided, right? The chiefs are divided. And we saw all of that scene with Gewa and his sort of council of other smaller, lesser chiefs of their own sort of districts in the Hawaiian island. So it's like, there's still some conflict. You saw a lot of familiar faces in their acting. All those Maoli TV actors that you see. So it's like, it's good to see all those guys get their time
who's that
in the
actor
sun.
that was in the middle doing much of the talking, the district chiefs? Because he's on, I remember him from that sitcom, the old sitcom that came on TV, and he's dressed as a
Fafafinge.
yeah.
Yeah. And Dave Fane was his husband.
Yeah, that actor. I forgot his name, but yeah, that's who I recognized.
Yeah. But no, it was cool, bro. All up, I thought this was the best episode so far.
Yeah, this was a good episode, and I love the politics of the island and the dynamics between the chiefs and what's going on in terms of like here's a chief in Maui ready to invade, and then but there's trouble in Hawaii, and Kayana sort of knows this, and he warns, I think the dad, the council guy, that if you guys are divided here, then we got no hope to battle the coming armies that are going to come across from Maui. Yeah, so even that, and just because, man, I love watching mafia movies, and I love the scenes where they're doing business and like talking about, this family against the other family, the scheming and all that, all those kind of scenes. I love those kind of scenes, and it reminds me of those scenes in Chief of War when that scene when Cliff Curtis, he's talking to his district chiefs, and you can see that they're uneasy with Cliff Curtis not, wanting to divide the island. They're saying, hey man, your dad gave Kamehameha the Chief of War for a reason, man. Like, you were not the one, man.
Well, yeah, even that guy, the one that you're talking about, points that out, and then he's sort of sitting there real Ika-like, right? Like, so yeah, I thought, even after he loudly proclaims, like, I am your king, and I thought, whoa. But then that guy just comes back as, yeah, but your dad gave the Chief of War to, so maybe he's better at leading our armies than you are. Like, I was thinking, so if you compare that to Gilly and Tim's character and his council, those guys will get killed.
They're exactly with me.
That's
he's running with fear, eh?
Yeah, it highlights the difference between you've got Kahekili and his sort of council of chiefs that are, you mentioned he's ruling them by fear, and they kind of want to speak up, but like real reserved about making their opinion be too pronounced, because it's like, sorry, that's not the prophecy that we lived our whole lives. You're a bit essay. but the council of chiefs at Geoa's little court, like those guys aren't afraid to speak up, and they're like, well, we're not going to support you if you want to go and fight against Kamehameha, but we also won't support anything against you because you rightly point out that you're our king. So yeah, lots of conflict, bro.
Yeah. So I like this episode just for that, and you talked about the pacing as well, and that brilliant. It was brilliant because then we could see in this whole episode the dynamics what's going on in the island of Hawaii, right? And we get the first meeting between Kaiana and Kamehameha, which is building up, and we see Kamehameha as a farmer, like doing his kalo in the field there. But that was interesting there because to me, like Kaiana, he was skeptical of Kamehameha being a warrior. He wanted to go see him for himself. And when he saw him being a farmer, having the heart of a farmer, that scene there when he was talking to him, I don't see a warrior in you. I don't think you're capable of this, right?
Yeah.
But we've seen in previous episodes what Kamehameha is a strong dude. He can breathe underwater with the rock. He can do all these superhuman things, right? But he's gentle, He's gentle. And when he tells Kiana that his dream is to have be a leader for peace, right? It sort of puts a spark into Kiana that everybody's saying this guy is the man. He should be the rightful king or the guy to combine or unite the whole islands. So at the end of the day, that's what they're looking for, right? They know they have to unify the islands. There's these two chiefs that are coming up that are not the right chiefs. Kili, he's just murdering everybody to be the one. And Kioa, he's power hungry, right? He's making everyone uneasy on the island, right? And Kamehameha is just a humble dude. He's a farmer. He's humble. He's not speaking out much, He's just doing his thing. Kaiana comes with the guns, and he's got the guns. He's got the technology. So whoever he aligns with is going to have the power, right? So he's just wondering where to align himself. Is it Cliff Curtis? Because he said, Cliff Curtis, he's Kioa. He's a warrior. He's a proven warrior. I've seen him. Hey, I've seen him. So maybe he's the guy. The reason why he goes to see Kamehameha because he's told to go see him. Yeah. So that's an interesting one. And of course, we're going to talk about the sled race, man, because that was the big action bit in this whole episode. It culminates to that sled race, and we probably needed like a action scene of some sorts. So a lot of a game of chess happening, and then we end the episode with that sled race. But man, because I've never ever seen that before. I didn't even know that they did this sort of thing.
Yeah, neither.
Like the sled racing, I kind of knew they did surfing. Where the Hawaiians were the first ones to surf a wave,
Surfing
man,
and
in my
cliff
head,
diving.
I was thinking, man, Hawaiians, man, they're the first ever extreme sports dudes. Like they can wrestle, catch sharks. Their bare hands. They can do this dangerous sled game. On the lava rocks. And they can surf the waves too. So very sporty people. Like extreme sports, man. Man, they invented all of that. So that was interesting to me, and that sort of like what I was thinking about it, man. But I don't know if I want to look it up, man, because that seemed like a fucking long ass sled ride, man, like that mountain.
Well, it's historical, like it's ancient Hawaiian culture, like they used to do it. And it's funny because they liken it to surfing on waves, using the narrow wooden sled on the lava rocks. It's like, so this is crazy. But just reading here, thanks to my quick Wikipedia search, Hawaiian lava sledding was considered both a sport and a religious ritual for honoring the gods. So that was Kamehameha's way of saying, Sole, if you want to join my council, then you're going to have to beat me in this race. Because then if you beat me, because I've never been beaten before, then it must be, the gods want you to be on my side. And, when Kaiana wins the race, Kamehameha talks to him about, sort of, you're crazy, man, because I looked back and I could see you, he streamlined himself by putting his head as low to the ground as possible, and he picked up speed and he got past Kamehameha. But Kamehameha was like, sorry, that is a crazy way to do it, because you can't see the imperfections in the track. You can't see like random rocks that might get in the way and trip your sled up. And you didn't even see the ending of the cliff. Like, you were just away at the end. And so, Kamehameha gives him props at the end when he flies off the cliff, and those are the things that he highlights. And so, you're crazy, man. You couldn't see it. I saw you put your head down, and he goes, oh, well, if that's how crazy you are and the gods want you to be on my council, then sweet. You've won the race. And so now that's the reward now. Guyana's now part of that council of Kamehameha's chiefs, because he's a chief too, right? Guyana in that scene. Just to go back and touch on the politics that you mentioned at the top of the pod, we were talking about the politics. Like, there's heaps of that stuff. And so you mentioned all the scheming and the Godfather like mafia sort of stuff, and there's heaps of that showing in this episode. Like Moku, his character, talking to his daughter about how and he refers back to the scene where Kamehameha is talking to the kids about the galo, right, at the beginning, where he's like, talking about planting the galo, and what's this part of the galo called? And this is the baby galo, and one of these galo could just regenerate and keep repopulating, and then that little speech about galo, then it sort of preludes him being in the galo patch later on when Jason Momoa comes up and visits him, and he talks about how before, whoever it was that he talked about taught me how to be a warrior and kill people, he taught me how to plant galo, and you've got to have a way of restoring life and giving back to the land. Can't just be a take, which is why his whole thing is, I want this to be a kingdom of peace. And we all know it's like, so that's all great in theory. Well, you gotta spill some blood, man, to get to that peace. And we also know that these Palangis are coming along. So, there's always going to be that conflict as well. You can't just be, that sort of golden era of peace in the Pacific Islands before colonization comes along. It doesn't last very long. And we're kind of witnessing in the Chief of War the sort of fading light of that golden sort of glow of Hawaii in a time when they're in control of their own sort of destiny at the moment. But now you're going to get the influence of these Pailangis and Jason Momoa bringing guns to pretty much, like you mentioned, determine the outcome of some of these battles. And so, you're right. Whoever he aligns with is going to have the power to become the next king, or to be the kingmaker for the person that will unify Hawaii. And to be honest, they kind of need it against Kahekili and Timuera's character and all of his goons, because that guy's savage, man. You need to have some sort of upper hand on him, because he just, I don't think in a normal, just Hawaiian weaponry, they'll take him out. I think they need something like muskets in that to give them an advantage.
Yeah, I remember it was Sai last episode that talked about, this story of good versus evil. And it's interesting to me how they portray Cliff Curtis's character, Kioa, versus Kahekili. Like, Kahekili's a real savage, like you said. He's like real mean, and he's powerful. He's real ruthless and all that kind of stuff. Typical evil character. But if you think about like their point of views, whether it's right or wrong, it's still their point of views. Like, is that evil? We probably don't know, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's whatever their point of view was at the time. Like, the history tells us what happened. So whoever wins the battle writes the history, right?
Yeah.
Right? So they really did this job of painting Kahekili as this ruthless, evil guy. And and Kioa is a jealous son, power hungry, who doesn't know how to lead. Then you've got Kamehameha, who looks to be like a all-rounder. Hey, he knows how to farm. He's a warrior too. He's got this prophecy. So he's humble. So all the attributes of a leader, it's already before our eyes, right? And all the scenes that he's in. We've seen him do the sled race. So we've seen him carry the rock underwater. We haven't seen him in battle yet, right? So that's the last thing we have to see. But we do see him talk about his plans for the kingdom and his conflict with his cousin. But he knows about the coming war as well. And I think he knows that, they need to be united in Hawaii to defeat the guys from Maui. So it's interesting how the story just portrays these characters in their way.
That's a good point you make. Because is it are they portrayed this way just for the TV show, or were they historically like this?
Exactly.
And we don't know, because you're right. Like, history is written by the people who win the wars. And unfortunately, Kahekili in history wasn't a winner. And Keua probably has something coming as well, But, Sai talked about how they portray Kamehameha as being really measured, and he's got this real balance about him. If you're gonna apply a Star Wars lens on this, like, he's like a Jedi, and those other two are Sith Lords, bro. Like really bad ones, because Kamehameha has all of these. Like, all three of them have great qualities of leadership. Even Guyana, like Jason Momoa's character, but if you know a little bit about Hawaiian history, and you know that Kamehameha ends up being king, you kind of want to root for him, because in Chief of War, he's the only one that sort of has that balance, that is really measured, that has real sort of foresight into what he wants Hawaii to be. Not just the here and now. He wants them to have peace, so that the future of Hawaii looks good, so that the little Tawe roots coming through are growing in prosperity, right? Whereas Keua, and you talk about him and Kahekili being real similar. Tim's really ruthless. You don't see any other traits from him other than him being ruthless, leading with fear, being absolutely he doesn't care about anyone else. He might show a small measure of love for his son, but apart from that, he loves himself heaps. He loves himself being the chief of lightning, or whatever it is that he keeps referring to himself as. And Keua is so blinded by jealousy that his father didn't see him worthy enough of having the god of war be bestowed upon him, that he gave it to his cousin. And in that scene at the beginning, that's his mame, that he's out on like the lava fields with, and then he's thumping it, and then he's just standing there while the hot vapors coming up through the cracks and is burning his back. And I'm like, so this is just another gut your teeth out scene, right? And he's trying to show it. You can see his skin getting peeled from being burnt from the hot steam coming up through the cracks. He's stuck in that, right? And there's no sort of you don't see any qualities in Keua at all of being able to overcome this jealousy that he has, being able to overcome this decision that King Kalaniʻupuʻu, his dad, made in gifting the chief, the god of war, to his cousin, to Kamehameha. And he can't see past that, and he's really blinded by that, which is unfortunate, because, man, I reckon him and Kamehameha just get together, sort it out. They could easily go and take over like Kahekili and Maui, right? But there's this conflict, and nothing in the series so far, just watching Cliff Curtis and the way he's been acting, his character, that guy's got no forgiveness bones in him. He wants to take the God of War back, and he wants to take it by force. And we saw at the end of episode 5 where, he's kind of, no pun intended, but he's lit the first match pretty much and started a fire, and he's burnt one of the Galo sort of storage facilities that must belong to Kamehameha. You know, they've gone out and done these like real ninja in the middle of the night styles and susumu the storage pit down. So I was like, this guy. So he's even against the counsel of his own sort of chiefs. He's taking it upon himself to go and do what he's done. But he won't be supported. Like it was seen in his council. Like, no, we're not going to support that. We support the decision of your dad to give the gold water to Kamehameha. But you know, you are our king, so we won't support anything against you. But you know, they're sort of, to be honest, all of those chiefs in his council are very similar to Kamehameha. They're just respecting the wishes of his dad that passed away, and they're just like, we'll just see what plays out, but we're not going to support you. You know, that would go against the wishes of your father. So, yeah, there's lots of dynamics still to resolve themselves, but it was really cool how just in this one short episode 5, heaps more stuff got fleshed out, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, it's for me, it's how do you live life in this life as a king or chief, and how do you navigate all the politics and all the decisions made and all the action that's going on in the island to survive or to be respected or to be loved. What is the pathway to be Kiora's dad, who died as a king, as an old man, right? A well-respected king. Like, what kind of person is he? What sort of pathway did he take to get to that position? I don't think it's the pathway when you start from his son with Kiora, like him wanting everything, wanting power, you know, arguing with his chiefs and all that kind of stuff. Like, when you think of that conversation again with Kayana and Kamehameha, like there's that part when Kamehameha talks about service, right? And you know, as being Pasifika, we all know about service to your family and all that, and how that is that action through the years when you do service, it gains you respect, right? So Kamehameha mentions that, and he also mentioned to Kiora last episode when they were arguing, or when his dad was alive, 2 episodes ago. When you're still my king, I serve you, right? So, yeah, that's the humbleness that comes with him, eh? Like, he knows his place, and if you serve in the right way, you know, that might be the right pathway to survive, eh? You know, so yeah, I love all that shit, eh? That was pretty cool, man. Like, each of these characters trying to, you know, cement their place in their society. Whether they make bad decisions or not, but you know, we'll see what happens, because at the end of the day, you'll get what's coming. It seems like, and I don't know if they're gonna have a season 2, but it looks like, because we're halfway through now, we're episode 5, 4 more episodes left. Is this season gonna end with the conclusion of what's going on between Cliff Curtis? Are we going to conclude his story at the end of this season and then move on? Next season will be the start of the war against Maui?
I have a feeling that's how it's gonna pan out. So they're gonna keep touching on Kahekili and what he's doing. He obviously hasn't made a move against Hawaii yet because they're still quite strong, right? And he doesn't want to, you know, go unprepared to take on Hawaii. Like, I didn't trust the news that's coming out of Hawaii that there's conflict. You know, I don't want to go over there and then it's a ruse and there's no conflict, and then I get annihilated, right? So
nice. So there's the chess playing, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, Guyana, like you said, he's going to be the kingmaker with his muskets. But even he seeks sort of validation from his brother. You know, when they're walking up the hill towards the sled race, about how he goes, you know, he was talking about the girl Kahumanu sees in Kamehameha, and then he talks to Namaki about it, and he goes, and you see that in him too, and he's like, yeah, I do. And then, you know, Namaki's got very few words for Kayana right now. He's like, Sully, you should have just been lost on your vata somewhere out in the oceans, and you come and ruin my life, bro. But you know, and you're right. Going back to that scene between Kamehameha and Kayana, he talks about, yeah, you don't look like a warrior, but I could serve a chief with the heart of a farmer. You know, and just from what Kamehameha is talking about, you can see sort of this guy's got a real love for his people. And that's why I thought Kaina Makua was a perfect fit for Kamehameha, because the man's a galo farmer anyway in Hawaii. When you read about it, it's like, oh, this man talks, the lines are Kamehameha, but he talks from his heart because he's an actual Hawaiian that loves the galo plantation. He has an actual love for the land of his birth. Like, the lines are Kamehameha in the series, but they could also be easily Kaina Makua's lines as well. Like, he wants peace in his land, and he wants prosperity for his people, and he wants his children to grow up and still have the amazing things that are in Hawaii that he sees, and the potential that Hawaii is. So all of that sort of stuff is very cool. So yeah, man, it's building up for, I think, the conclusion of Keua and Kamehameha's conflict, because it's 4 episodes, right? They could flesh that whole story right out in the remaining 4 episodes, and then set it up for a season 2 where it's Kahekili versus Kamehameha, and backed by Kaiana and his guns. And who knows? Like, I reckon those other captains that Mali had sort of spoken to, they might come with their own guns and go on Kahekili's side, right? Like, I reckon that could be something that might play out in season 2, and where it's not just muskets on one side, now there's guns on both sides, and a whole heap of Hawaiians just getting killed, unfortunately, in the conflict that's yet to come. So that's how I see it playing out. Jason Momoa, did I just read your mind, bro? Did I just ruin your story?
There was a comment in our comments on YouTube. Someone answered Sai's question last episode: was John Young a real guy?
Yeah.
And he was. He was actually I think he became a governor of Hawaii after the unification. So he served under Kamehameha as an
advisor,
Palangi council.
Oh,
yeah. So.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. He was a real person.
Yeah, and that scene where Kaiana's come back with his brothers and he's speaking English, and he goes, "Hey, these guys know how to speak English now, because we conveniently left John Young here on the island to whāao English to all you guys." And he goes, "Yeah, the council learned English to avoid spies." Right? So they're speaking English to avoid spies that might be hiding around trying to take information back to Kahekili. So that's actually a really good tactical advantage for these guys.
Yeah.
Kahekili doesn't speak English, so if they speak English, and if he's got spies around, they'd be like, "Sale, what are these guys talking about?" Yeah. So
when you talk about Polynesians in those days and warfare, like, it's not just the physical part of the warfare; it's the mind, the mental game, the Sun Tzu stuff, where they got down to a TA.
The art of war.
The art of war. Moku, the father of Kahumanu. Man, I don't know about that guy in this episode, man. He was I know he had a lot of words to say. He was cautious. He's a cautious guy. But he was a bit of a hater, Like, this episode, Like, maybe too cautious. I don't know. He's just maybe, but he didn't want Kaiana to be there. Like, remember when he came to see him and he said, "No, get lost." So he had to go around the back and see Kamehameha. I think he was planting his color,
because he wants conflict, right? He wants Kamehameha to just openly declare war against Keua and just go and whasioki him and end it and unify Hawaii and be the king of Hawaii that way. So that they can then worry about Kahekili afterwards. But Kamehameha's like, "Selena, that's not how I roll." Again, there's that measured response. There's that measured sort of reply. And I think part of Moku's character arc is he starts to get a bit jealous that his own daughter is now... He's got the ear of Kamehameha, right? He even mentions it, because he talks about that scene where Kamehameha is talking to the kids with the kalo, and he goes, So those aren't his words. These are your words. You're the one that talks about galo and planting and crops and peacefulness and all this sort of stuff. And then he goes, and be careful because, women and, the heart can mislead men. He talks about, say, you better be careful.
So he's got to come back for everything, eh?
He does.
Come back for everything.
He does. And it's interesting because his like Lucienne Buchanan's character is real. She's really diplomatic. But, let's not forget that whole scene with Tola in the first episode where Tola talks about, oh, you're gonna bring us to ruin. You're gonna be the one that all the Hawaiian gods are gonna fall because of her influence. And so I think she's the one. Like, she's promoting learning English. She's talking about, we need to be there at the council gatherings. We can't just be wives. She's a bit more progressive in the gender roles that are on Hawaii. Like, hey, we're the wives who just sit here and baru the ava or fight me or whatever. But she's like, no, I want to sneak off and talk to the king. Sully, you're not allowed. You can't do that. You can't go in. The king doesn't need your opinions or your counsel because he's got a whole council of, the men, the warriors to take counsel from. But she's actually we had that scene where they're at the Naha Stone or Neha Stone, whatever it's called, and that's where she sort of gets into the king's ear about stuff, and the king realizes that she's more than just a pretty face, and just she's actually quite learned. She's quite thoughtful. And, we have to remember that she was, for probably this very reason, isolated away from everyone. Remember, they hid her because her mum is Kahekili's sister, and they didn't want any of that sort of crap to sort of come back. And I don't know, the politics again, because they escaped from Kahekili, and she didn't want to be part of whatever Kahekili's craziness was. So all of that's gonna pan out and flesh out that whole story with Moku and his daughter, because you can sort of see there's a little bit of friction there between him. He's like, sort of, I'm the king's counsel, but he listens to you more than he does to us. There's that bit of jealousy, and now this Kaiana comes, and this Masamasoa ass warrior, chief of Maui, so it's like, man, this guy, listen to me, man, let's just go fight Geoa and be done with it.
This episode noticed a lot of music. You had the old lady singing when Geoa is on the lava rocks, burning himself. You had Namake, he's singing on the beach, just heartbroken. And then on the sled race, you see that guy, he's singing too. And you see that thing they spin around, it makes that sound, that woo sound?
It's called a pūrere hua in Māori.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what it's called in Hawaiian, though.
Once we're warriors.
It's the same thing, eh? It's the same thing, eh?
I think so, yeah. Down.
So, man, connections right there, man. Those are pretty cool. But the only thing I wanted to say about that sled race was, man, how close are their hands to the ground? They like, man, when those two guys just flipped off their sleds, you're right, man. He's like, oh shit, that's like scraping all your skin off, man. Like in one go or dead. How many people died?
well, before they raced, that's what Kamehameha said before they went down. He's like, I'll see you at the bottom, hopefully. Hopefully, because you might die. So, yeah.
Yeah, man. That's all I say. Got any more to add?
Nah, it was a good episode. Best one so far. Yeah.
Best one so far? Yeah. I guess, yeah. I'm just thinking where we're going to end up. We have 4 episodes to go. And we might go. Because didn't you mention it was going to be season 2? They greenlit season 2?
I think so.
Yeah. So
better do some press ups for it when they do a casting call.
Yeah. If we see next episode and there's no war yet, that leaves us 3 episodes. They'll probably conclude the story with what happens in Hawaii at the end of the season, and then move on to next season. With Kahekili. But sweet, man, that's us for another episode, man. Thanks, man, for jumping on. Hope you enjoyed it.
Bro.
Enjoy more of the Chief of War. Four more episodes to go. And we'll catch you on 135 Footy Show.
Shoot,
See,
boys.
the Warriors are still in the top 4.
Oh, mate. Still there, bro. Still there.
Playing like it, are they?
Of course they are. Top 4 for a reason.
Man, the Seagulls will be there in top 8, hopefully, after some maths.
Yeah. Bro, get the calculator out, bro.
All right, man. Thanks for joining on, man. Always a pleasure to have you on.
Oh, good, bro.
Right, bye.